Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of If You Can't Handle the Heat. Before we get into it, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. First things first, if you want to watch Micah play this summer, you can with VBTV. Boost for 20% off. Link in the bio has all access to every single one of his VNL matches. Also, it's going to be a hot summer. In order to replenish your nutrients, you need Dr. Price's electrolytes. Use the promo code ADDSYSTEM for 20% off to get nice and electrolyted with Dr. Price's electrolytes. And also, Wilson just came out with a new grass volleyball. It looks a lot like the old one, but it is the new one. It's pretty much the optics, but in the same pink color. It is the AVP Game Grass Volleyball. All you got to do is use the promo code ADDSYSTEM20 for 20% off. Go hit the link in the bio and you can get yourself a new one. With that being said, let's get to the episode.
You can handle the heat. Yeah. You can handle the heat.
We are Shaw. Welcome back to that episode of Can't Handle the Heat. It is your boy G Swizz. We are back here in Northern California. Of course, I'm my broski to my right here. Joey, how we doing?
Doing great. How are you, Gage?
Doing good, man. The tour has officially started. We're on the road. By the time people listen to this, we'll be on the road. So again, as you heard in the intro, click the link in the bio if you want to join us in the events and the camps or clinics that we're hosting. But we are not alone here. We are joined by a legend. Not only a legend to mine and my brother's self, a legend of the volleyball community. He was the OG of OGs and has only grown his platform to an insane amount, almost 800,000 subscribers on YouTube. I think, but correct me if I'm wrong. Well, let me introduce you first. The Coach Donny. Coach, as far as you know, does anyone have 1 million subscribers on YouTube as in the volleyball community?
Not as an individual creator. So the volleyball world, like FIVB stuff they have, but in terms of an individual, I think I'm still the leading one, almost at 1 million. So could be the first.
So that's the goal. So that's the end goal. When did that become the goal?
Probably until last year when people, like a bunch of fans started commenting and say, hey, you're almost at 1 million. Because, as you guys know, like you're so much in the grind that you just forget all the other metrics because you're just trying to make content and have fun.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I was like, oh, shoot. I was just happy I was like, if I can get 10,000, that'd be the goal. I would be happy with 10,000, then 100,000 hit, then 500,000 hit. And then so I would say probably this last 2 months, I think I just made it a fun goal to see if I can keep this going and hit 1 million.
And it's impressive. And you're there. And all right, you're one of the most humble people out there. But how long ETA you think it's going to take you to get to that 1 million?
I think it will be, let's see, if it's almost June, I think I can hit 1 million by early 2025. It's pretty crazy. I don't know how it keeps growing. And I'm not trying to sound facetious, but I'm not doing anything intentional to try to grow it. I just try to make like interesting stuff and help people. And I'm obviously always improving video quality and working with my editors. But I would say I'm averaging probably 2,000 to 4,000 new subscribers a month.
That's impressive.
So actually, maybe the math doesn't work out that way. Maybe mid 2025 is when I'll hit 1 million.
Yeah. So is that through you attribute? Well, there's a lot of stuff you have going for you. Do you attribute a lot of you're getting 2,000 to 4,000 at least? The subscribers, is that more too? You're like, okay, the quality, the content quality, the HD to 4K, maybe you're shooting 4K or is it other stuff that you think that keeps your momentum going?
I think it's a lot of my legacy videos. So the original ones I shot on my iPhone 5, 720, 30 frames per second.
Classic.
Extra grainy. I guess is retro now. 8 years ago, I think my channel was maybe 15,000 at the time. But it's crazy those still get the most viewership. So I think that's kind of a baseline of where I get a lot of momentum from there. And then I think YouTube recognizes there's old videos that are still, and then as long as I keep posting consistently, then they'll keep recommending my videos. And I think shorts added a whole new explosion to like a whole new subscriber base too.
I know we talked about it last time. How many shorts do you upload a day?
It used to be twice a day. Now I've calmed it down to just one to focus more on TikTok.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And how's that going for you, think?
It's been going really well. So TikTok, just talking like some business stuff, TikTok financially was never really that viable. They usually pay the lowest out of all. And they had like a shorts, or I guess what do you call it? What do they call their shorts? Is it Reels?
TikTok?
Yeah.
TikTok is TikTok.
TikTok. Okay. Yeah. So under minute videos, they offered like pennies for views. And then they started this new creator program where any long form video between 1 minute and 30 minutes, they're trying to compete with YouTube. So their CPM, cost per milli, is a little bit higher than average for compared to YouTube. Usually is going to be the highest cost per million. The CPM is like cost per million views that you're going to get. Sorry, 1,000 views, not million views. And right now TikTok is at YouTube or just a little bit higher. So I had to divert my editing to more of that. Yeah.
Are you signed up as a business account on TikTok or are you signed up as personal?
I think it's definitely not business, because I think when I first started the TikTok, for some reason they don't allow business accounts to monetize their content.
That's kind of how we started as a business because we saw, I think it was more, they allow, correct me if I'm wrong here, they allow more links to like your channels and whatnot or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh yeah, business. But then we realized we can't monetize it.
Yeah.
So that's something that, I mean, maybe you don't have the answer to this and I could just easily look it up online. I think, do you know if you're able to change it from business to personal or no?
Good question. My guess is yes. I think most platforms allow that flexibility because they'd rather allow you to stay active, especially if they're trying to get more people in their bonus programs, and that's the requirement. So my guess is you should be able to.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then in terms of like when you monetize it, when you join the creator program, it's the creator fund program or something like that, or?
Yeah. So it went through 3 phases. The creator fund, which was like a bonus program. So it was just random amount of money you get per views. And then it was the creator fund, which was a permanent program. And then now it's I think it's still called the creator fund. So that's their creator fund program. So that's their new main monetary source to compete with TikTok, or not TikTok, YouTube. Sorry.
Okay. Got you. Sorry, I just had a lot of these questions. No. And then in terms of people on here, like, what the crap are they talking about? But in terms of YouTube shorts, in terms of, you said CPM, or is that the same as a YouTube video?
No, much lower. Okay. So some rough metrics, like a video, like a million view video that's at least 8 minutes long, has a couple ads, could generate maybe $3,000, $4,000, at least in the sports industry, because each industry is different. And then a million view shorts would only be maybe $200, I think, roughly. That's like a loose comparison from last time I checked my info. Okay.
Are you scared about this whole TikTok ban or anything like that? Not scared, but people come up to me and they're like, oh, because TikTok's our biggest.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, you scared about TikTok or anything? I'm like, no. What do you think? You think the audiences are just going to stop watching? No, they're just going to go to other platforms, or they go back to YouTube or go to Instagram. So just, that's just where just going to go back to how it was before TikTok is, if that does happen.
Yeah. I'm not too nervous. I think I just get annoyed that things just keep changing.
Yeah, no, I get that.
But, I'm fortunate that I grew up with a dad that was very entrepreneurial, and he modeled just no fear of failure. He's just like, F it, I'm just going to try something else. Like, he had 8 businesses that failed before he had one. And so fortunately I grew up with just not being afraid to look bad or to change things. So as soon as I sense that, I'm already prepping. Like right now, since they made that announcement, even though I have poured more resources into TikTok, because I think TikTok, my guess is they're trying to make one final push. If they can put more money into the creator fund, then more people will be on the platform. Then it'll be harder for TikTok to leave the what we call the tier 1 countries, which is the ones that have the highest payouts for the revenue that you get. So that's my theory as to why they're trying to pump in so much money in these countries. So if that disappears, I'm already prepping my Facebook to get that momentum going in case it shuts down. Because all that's going to do, like you said, is just going to drive all that traffic to YouTube and Facebook. And eventually X. I mean, I don't know how X is doing. I don't know are you guys on X?
We start X, but we're not posting that often.
Okay.
We haven't.
Me neither.
It's for me. I know we started it, but it was like one of those things where it was like, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how much is booming at the moment.
I have some stuff that ties into a lot of athletes that we're like heading into the summer for us. We're around a lot of athletes with big platforms, do a lot of NIL stuff. I think it's really relatable nowadays with the junior athletes. I'll start off by asking, like, how many, with your platform, how many brands do you have approaching you, on an annual basis? And what does that look like? And what is your methodology when brands do approach you?
Yeah. I would say once a week I get emails from random companies. So not the major ones, just ones I haven't heard of that are trying to promote their sleeves or their apparel or sports equipment. So once a week it's random emails. And honestly, I don't even know if they're scams. Because sometimes the English is broken, which is, I have nothing against people that have English that's not perfect grammar, but it just gets the vibe of a scam. So I don't know if it's legit. So I usually don't click on the links. And then lots of messages, I would say weekly same thing from Instagram. But in terms of the ones that I really respond to, like products that, like Go Sleeves is a product that I used before they reached out. So when the fact that they reached out to me after just using it for a year, I was happy to partner with them. And the way to answer your question about how I decide, like for those who've watched my product review videos, I try to be really honest. To give you an example, like the Way of Wade shoes, they sent me a pair. So they reached out to me through Instagram and they say, we'll send you a pair. We'll happy to cross promote. And then eventually, if this goes well, we can do some affiliate program. I was like, sure. And I always give people a heads up, companies, I say, I'm very honest. And honestly, if I am going to release a review that might be detrimental to your business, I would rather not post it because I'm not trying to take anyone's money away. So I will give people a heads up. So, and I'll give them samples too of where I'm saying the shoe, it's good for this, bad for that. So they're like, yeah, sure, fine, whatever. And then so they sent me a pair and they look sick, by the way. I think the Way away is whoever does their design on point. And they sent me, they let me choose the color, baby blue, my favorite color. So I did them and then I had an honest review. And then I talked about how it gave me a blister on the side of my side of my ankle. And they were professional about it, but they're like, ooh, we don't know how we feel about that. And I just told them, like, I just try to be honest. 80% of the review is pretty positive, and I totally get that. That could hurt some of the reviews, but I think that's why people enjoy my product reviews because they're really honest. So since then, I don't think they sent me any more products, and it's not any knock on them. I still think they're a great company, but it's those where it's just not a good fit. Like I'm never going to be the type of influencer that's just going to say, wear these shoes and you're going to jump 80 inches higher or eat this product. Because one, I don't want to spread bad information. And then also it's just much easier for me to sell things that I believe in, that I use. So I'm very particular about which companies, I just have to use it myself, enjoy it, think it's going to help people before I promote it. So, yeah.
Do you outwardly go out and approach brands or you just kind of do stuff that people are reaching out to you mostly? And the other thing is, like, when I talk to some other creators and stuff, like they have like very specific ways which they work with brands. Like some prefer like an affiliate program, some prefer like a fixed rate. How do you kind of handle that also with brands?
Yeah. Prior to this year, I never reached out. I was fortunate that brands would reach out. Also, that just wasn't a priority. But this year, since I went full time, so I retired from teaching. So I was teaching part-time high school. And then this year is my full-time being content creator, volleyball player, coach. So this is the first year where I felt like, well, now I can really focus energy on trying to pursue brands that I really want to partner with. So this is my first year. I've tried to reach out to Under Armour. Under Armour just seems to have a big chip on their shoulder, which something I totally vibe with. And I think they're extremely experimental. So I think good fit in terms of values. They haven't gotten back to me. I don't blame them. I'm a small time guy. So I reached out to Panda Express. I love me some Panda. But they don't have, so different brands I'm working on reaching out. And that way is definitely much harder if you don't have an agency. So who knows? Maybe I might try to use an agency to have better connections within those companies. So, and then what was your second question, Joe?
Just in terms of how you work with brands. Like I talked to different influencers and
I try to approach it more as a negotiation. because I want the vibe of a partnership versus you tell me or I tell you. So I'll give a suggestion of what my minimum rate is, because there are companies that have had politely declined where they reached out and I say, okay, if you want to post, it's X amount of dollars per post. And if you want a guest appearance or something like that, it's X amount of dollars. So I have a baseline rate for, I guess, a la carte things. But in terms of long-term partnerships, usually it ends up being some affiliate revenue share. Like for Volleyball TV, for Volleyball World, they give me all the backstage access to make my own content. But then I help them promote the Volleyball TV, but then I also get a commission from every subscription that I refer to them. So that's kind of how that worked out. So it's more like access plus small commissions. And then other companies like Blue Shield, it's paid per post. That is one of my current sponsors. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Yeah. It's always interesting. Like have you spoken to a lot of, I don't know if it's collegiate athletes or even high school athletes that are really investing into the NIL, I guess, era? And what are some pieces of advice you have for kids, like from a young age, in preparation where, there's like serious money being thrown around?
Yeah. No, I mean, NIL is something super new to me. And you guys are probably more connected because you still interact with a lot of the current collegiate players. So I'd love to learn more from you guys on the industry. But the advice I would give to, this is such a special time. It's in our society, there's just no reason to not learn any skill you want, make the money you want, and to do what you want. I mean, the hustle industry is just so easy right now. And I think for collegiate athletes to monetize themselves, first thing is understand what it means to be a professional. Companies really don't care at the end of the day about the followers. That's a starting conversation. What they care is, can you help them grow their company? And I've personally talked to creators or growing creators where they just have a mindset of where I don't want to do the unpaid work because I deserve this because I have the X amount of following. But the bottom line is, if you don't help the company make money, there's no ongoing relationship. Like, you don't want a sustainable business is ones that you build relationships. Like for Blue Shield, I was able to secure a 1-year contract of sponsorships. So once we did a one-off, it did really well. And I always make sure I over-deliver on my first interaction so that they know I'm committed to them, like the product, then I have a year sponsorship. I don't want to have to keep searching for companies to do a bunch of one-offs. That's just mentally taxing. It's a lot of time, and it's not sustainable for income. So first one, be a professional and don't be afraid to do the work. Actually, on a side note too, when I was at Volleyball World, they are slowly testing out influencers. And I mean, they have the pick of the litter. They have the biggest volleyball organization in the world. So I was very privileged that they reached out to me. When I was filming on the floor, and I'm just a backstage access guy with a nice little card that says, I think it said content creator. It was so official. It said media content creator. I was like, all right, they got a separate category for us now. I didn't get paid for it, so I paid for myself to get in there, but I knew this was a great opportunity to get my foot in the door, to do more work with them. During the Iran game, in between the timeouts, someone was icing the knee, and then the ice melted, and then there was a puddle. So I was kind of conflicted because they have towel people, but the whistle was about to be blown. I was like, I don't want someone to get injured. So I actually stepped on the court and stopped it. People were like, who the heck is this Asian guy with their hand up?
Oh, no way.
Because I said, there's water here. And then I found a towel. And then I think the towel people, who are also the ball people, were shagging balls. I took the towel and I just wiped it. I just got on my knees and just wiped it. And I wasn't trying to be a hero. I actually thought I was being disruptive, but I was like, I'm not going to have someone slip on my watch. So by the time I came, they brought the actual towels instead of the little baby chamois. And then afterward, some of the upper-ups came up to me. It's like, we were so impressed that you were willing to wipe the floors and you're a media person. It's like, and to me, I'm just trying to get the job done. I'm concerned about other things. And then it's interesting how that built much greater relationships with people inside Volleyball World that I have the direct context of some of the upper management in Volleyball World because I was referred to say, hey, this guy you can trust, that he is not gonna. Well, I don't think they would take. I think I would take advantage of people or situations, but they're like, we can trust this guy. So because I know there is a little hesitation still with the NIL stuff and content creators, because it has to be a me type of world, because you have to promote yourself. But unfortunately, we still have a reputation of look at me, look at my followers. What can you do for me versus what can I do for you?
Mm-hmm.
So that's my recommendation: is the professionalism. Don't be afraid to do the unpaid work, to over deliver on products that you serve to these companies. And the third one is just have a long-term game plan. There's just no excuse to not be doing well financially in our modern society if you have access to these resources. Yeah.
True. And we actually started working with VBTV. We actually got fortunate enough for them to reach out and stuff. So
awesome.
Glad that kind of started and everything. And obviously you have a long relationship, and definitely, there's levels to this, but it's interesting you talk about that. It's because I'm glad they're reaching out to a lot of in terms of volleyball influencers, not really a lot, but they're mostly in America.
Mm-hmm.
And we both know it. That people don't really know what's going on in America in the international game.
We don't even know where to watch volleyball.
Yeah.
We talk to a lot of kids. They don't know who's on the national team, and they don't know where to watch the volleyball.
Yeah.
I think they're taking a really good job in the first steps and stuff, and like getting they realize, volleyball. USA has a huge volleyball audience, but collegiate club volleyball.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a huge audience out there for like national team, for international possibly.
Yeah.
So it's awesome that they're taking the steps in the right direction to kind of lead the kids in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I want to add one item.
Go for it. Congratulations,
by the way. I think that's a great connection. I saw you guys posted some CEV stuff too, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know they're a big volleyball organization. But the fourth one is, you just never know who is going to help you down the future. Mm-hmm. You just want to be kind and generous to people in general, just because that's how you should live life, how I believe. But the bonus effect is, you just don't know how that person's going to help you down the road. So to give you an example, in my early 20s, I met a volleyball player. He was a good player. He wasn't super dominant, but he's just a fun rec coach player. He was the only guy that we would talk international volleyball with. And I was like, I'm proud to say I'm one of the original volleyball nerds in my generation.
100%.
Because
without a doubt.
I would find these obscure VHS tapes from pro players in overseas and just watch them over and over again. I would have to ask my German friend so Germany at the time had their games televised, and I was able to somehow, but I couldn't understand the website, so we had to translate it. So this is in the early 2000s. But anyways, became really good friends with this person because we talked volleyball. And then he eventually ended up working at Volleyball World. And he got my first foot in the door because he was really experienced in the media space. And he kind of had my route where he got invited to a lot of events. And he made a good impression. Then they invited, now he's a pretty high up staff member in Volleyball World. And, I'm not going to mention his name so people don't stalk him. But he just gave me my first opportunity to make the Maruf video. So I did a analysis of Saeed Maruf, which was 2 years ago. So really, if you're watching this, you know who you are. Thank you so much for the opportunity. But just an example of you just don't know when you're going to need someone's help down the road. And so if you're just good to everyone you meet, then you have a big net to cast to help you.
Yeah. I think we in a similar boat with so obviously we know we have the tour in the summer that we just go because we're overseas for 9 months out of the year. So then we kind of find ourselves in this position where each tour if the company grows, if anything grows, where you can bring maybe one more staff on board that can actually help, where Joe's not ordering our lunches and trying to run a clinic and being mic'd up at the same time and while trying to go play a championship game, or he has to handle all this BS, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So now we're in a place where we can get more staff to help us so we can just focus on what we need to focus on because it's such a crucial time for us. Mm-hmm. So for example, my boy Eli, who actually came and lived with me, he was from Puerto Rico. And our families met because I played his brother a year or 2 years prior. And then the parents talk after the game. And they loved back rim. They loved my dad, my family, and what we were all about. And he had a younger brother that was my age. And we would go, and he moved over here and played for us, Pac Rim.
Wow.
All the way. He was living in Virginia Beach at the time, so he moved all the way across and then lived here. And then now, fast forward, 7 years later, 8 years later, and now he's our tour manager. He's going on tour with us. So it's stuff like that where it's like, it's interesting, like for us, like the friends we've made, the people we bring part of out of system is like crazy. And the same thing with like Fane has a crazy story. We can kind of like go like create Dirty Mike and Jake Mike, like all of ours kind of, for us, it's more who we kind of bring in staff and into our circle comes from the most unexpected places. And I think just by treating people correctly and right, and being open, because I think that, they see you with a big platform. They see us with semi-okay, bigger platform. They think, okay, I've gotten so many like people come up to me and they're like, I really thought you were going to be an asshole. And I was like, well, I'm glad I let you down in that category, I guess. I get that so much. I'm like, oh, no. Okay, thanks. And like, you're actually really nice. I was like, thank you for that beautiful compliment you just shared with me. But, they probably think that I'm like, I mean, I do it to myself at times that, they're like, this guy's weird or like, like stuff like that where it's like interesting content for sure. But I think what also, like you said, just be nice to everyone, man. Your fans, you don't know where it's going to lead you to. These are people who get you to where you are and you appreciate. So for those of you listening out there, make sure you're nice to everyone. Don't be an a-hole. Yeah. Because we play in these tournaments, dude. I don't mean to get on a tangent here, but we play in these tournaments and there's these, I'm not like these guys that are either semi-pro or they're pro or whatever, and they're just like big chested, a-holes. No, I know better. Like, I'm like, dude, everyone's here to have fun. Everyone's here to compete. And you think you're better than this and bigger than this. You're not. No one's bigger than this, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Just a little rant there from Gage there. Let's talk shoes, Donnie. Sure. You kind of got in the way of the weights here. So this is when Joe usually checks out of the conversation because he knows nothing about. Joe, how long have you been wearing the crazy flights? He's been wearing the crazy flights. Okay. Obviously, those are the Ultra Boosts.
Year.
Well, you wore them in Lunenburg too.
These?
The crazy flights. Those are Ultra Boosts.
Oh, Ultra Boosts.
He's learning. Ultra. So you've been wearing the crazy flights for how long?
As long, I don't know. I just got I get them from playing Lunenburg. They gave them to me. I just kind of wound up I was at UH and the coach just kind of threw me a couple pairs.
Got you.
I've never really cared too much about what shoes I wear.
Respect, and there's respect to that. But so Donnie, this is where a question for you is. Sure. Let's start with this. Is there any new shoes in 2024? And I want to hear your thoughts because I have some thoughts on this just by coming back for a few days and seeing everything. Is there any new shoes in 2024 that you're like, whoa, this is taken off, this is kind of come down, and that you're a big fan of?
Man, I've been out of my shoe game, unfortunately, for 6 months. So I'll give my general thoughts. The newest shoes I've tested, the LeBron, whatever the low tops are, they made a release that one. I forgot what that's called. And then the ones that I bought 5 pairs of are the Dame 8 still.
Yep. Those are nice.
And then the Wades, both of the Wades, the 10s, and then I'm already forgetting the baby blue ones, whatever I have. So I think those are 3 pretty diverse. So Adidas, soles, a lot squishier. So people that just like that. But except for the Stables, ironically, the Stables are super stiff. And I saw, were you wearing those in a couple games?
Bro, the Stables probably, for me, were some of the worst shoes I've ever put on my foot. I'm telling you, Joe, you don't wear the Stables. You wear the crazy flights.
I do wear the
thing with the Stables, maybe I didn't cushion them enough or wear them enough. But my God, it was almost like a cinder block, like a lighter cinder block on my feet. I was like, ow, I've been libero. I don't even jump. I'm like, I can only imagine if I landed with these things, how hard they are on your feet.
Hold on, I need to look at what Stables.
Stables are the fat bottoms, so with the colorful bottoms.
They're the coolest looking shoes, by the way. They look sick.
So whoever designed them, great job.
Dude, I wore these this year.
And?
Oh, you sent them?
So sick.
Are they actually? Do you remember them?
No, I just wore them. I'm telling you, I literally
I get that, but do you remember how they felt or no?
They just didn't feel like they had a lot on top.
You mean on the bottom?
Oh yeah, really thin.
Ankle support.
Yeah, really thin on top.
So because they put it all on the freaking bottom, they put a freaking cinder block down there. My God, it's like bulletproof.
So when I talked to, who did I talk to? Maybe it was Dustin Wan, someone from Europe, asking them the concept behind the stables. They said it was more of a handball shoe. So it wasn't meant for that, but then they just adopted it to try to get into the volleyball market that way to see if there would be some crossover. I agree. It was too stiff. My feet hurt a lot. And I think it was mainly due to all the lateral movement. So outside the barrel, just the hard changes. And then very little shock absorption from jumping. So, every time I'm max jumping, I just felt it. But I do know it is foot specific because I think Dustin Wan likes playing in them. So I think people maybe that just have more padded feet, maybe it's going to feel more comfortable, but I don't like them very much. I like mesh material. So I like the top that it was flexible, but I did not, just around my edges of my foot just were hurting too much.
Yeah.
And my heels.
And for me, well, first of all, it doesn't make any sense why they would make them if handball players like them and lateral movement is what hurts. It's like handball, there's a lot of lateral movement in there. There's a lot of jumping and landing too. So I don't get, I don't know. But we don't know what the handball players think, but they look sick. But then you said something about the mesh. The mesh is nice. That's why the Dame 8s. The Dame 8s are my, I wore the all white with the 3 stripes down there.
That's nice.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
They last me a full year. Never has a shoe ever last me a full year. And because this is going to sound a little weird, but I play rough.
Yeah.
On the, what I'm saying, everything breaks, everything snaps, everything gets worn down. Mm-hmm. And that alone I was impressed by that.
Yeah.
I was impressed.
Yeah. The Damians are super durable. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I saw for me, because what type of shoe do you like? I see, first of all, those are some web shoes I've ever seen them. Those are impressive. I will say those are meant for speed and mobility. How are those in terms of
the Vivo? So I've been wearing barefoot shoes for the last 4 years, and it's been a game changer. I'll give it for those who don't know about barefoot, like walking and running. I don't recommend playing volleyball on these. These will kill your feet if you play volleyball. But a lot of our shoes have a higher heel drop, so our heels are raised, and that's good for athletic performance because you want to kind of get in like a spring-loaded position. But it's not good for everyday activity because then it shortens your Achilles tendon. When your Achilles tendon is short the whole day, it never gets a chance to get full length. You get Achilles injuries, and also when your heel is higher, so even just any standard shoe will have a higher heel just because it's more comfortable. It forces your center of gravity forward, so you're going to get lower back pain because you kind of have to arch your back a little bit. And this is all subconscious. Like if I'm standing up and my heel's higher, I'm naturally going to lean forward and I have to arch my back to compensate. Then I have to round my shoulders so I'm not leaning back, and then my head just forward. So it creates this chain. So instead of fixing the neck, just wearing flat shoes or walking around barefoot will help a lot of that. And I used to do a lot of ankle stability stuff. I've only sprained my ankle once in 10 years, like a severe sprain. Thankfully, it's because of all the ankle mobility and the strengthening I've done. But the biggest impact was my wearing barefoot shoes. And my feet got really fat because I think from all the impact. And then when you get to walk barefoot, your toes get activated. Imagine doing a handstand walk. You can't just you have to grip a little bit. And so that is the whole benefit. So your feet get really, really strong. That's why now people advise people to train barefoot whenever possible to get that stimulation. Imagine if you're setting with gloves, you can kind of do it with power, but you lose the sensitivity and then your muscles don't get as activated because the gloves are doing the cushioning. But if your fingers have to do the cushioning, then they get a lot more sensitive. The muscles get, more developed. So I definitely recommend the any barefoot shoes when you're walking around.
Did your feet hurt after that or no?
Yes.
Like when you first put it on?
There is a transition period. Luckily, I grew up in a house where we walked barefoot. So I felt comfortable. My transition was easier, but when I started wearing these on the street, definitely there was a period where your feet hurt. But once you do that, I can't go back. Like I look forward to when I go from like hiking, when I wear hiking shoes, I look forward to putting these on just to let my feet feel the earth again. It's like a different connection. You
ever thought about like going hiking with like no shoes or like straight up barefoot? Or there's just too many stuff on the ground?
I think if I grew up that way, like in indigenous or like in the Philippines, when I watched this guy named PJ Performance, who's a trainer that I follow, but he did a basketball camp in the Philippines, and he was talking about how people play on the dirt and rocks barefoot or sandals. And if you grow up with it, your feet can tolerate it, and their feet are like super muscular. The toes are spread. It's fascinating, and no ankle injuries. For us, we play in great surfaces and amazing shoes. We get ankle injuries because our feet are not developed. I mean, that's really the bottom line. But one day, maybe when I retire from volleyball and I want to do old man stuff, like that sounds like an old man thing to do. Get a Subaru.
That's what I'm talking about.
Hike barefoot. Maybe at some point I'll try to develop that, but not anytime soon.
In terms of while we're at it, in terms of talking about different cultures, I've always wanted, one of the dreams of out of system, and obviously with playing professional, it doesn't work well together. Is that I always wanted to go. I see these crazy volleyball videos and these crazy volleyball cultures. You know, you got the dirt ball in India. I think maybe we talked about this last podcast. I can't remember about this, but with the dirt ball in India, you have the money ball, the Mexican money ball.
Mm-hmm.
You have, for me, I want to do this, not because I want to see nude people, but the nude volleyball. I just want to go experience that first and be like, let's see what this is all about.
Yeah.
And then there's just I've seen the catching and throwing volleyball in the Philippines, I think it was, or somewhere in the Pacific. And I'm like, you know what? And we got to experience, I remember the Japanese culture of volleyball and the training, and I would like to go through a week of that or whatever, something like that, where I'm like, these are all things I want to go do.
That'd be awesome.
Is there something that you see that you're like, oh, I got to try that?
Yeah. I've always wanted to put a team together and compete in some of these tournaments, exactly the places. Like I see like a 4-on-4 in Cambodia.
What is that? You're bringing this to my attention now.
They have like a 4. So their style that I've seen on social media is a 4-on-4. So they can lift. So they hold it.
That's the one.
And then they play barefoot. And these guys are jumping like 40 plus inches barefoot with gold chain around the neck, hella sweaty. And then I've also seen one and they're speaking Spanish. So I don't know if it was Mexico, but similar to 9-man where they actually grab it and throw it.
Interesting.
And then in the Punjab region, which is part of India, exceptional athletes there. That's the one where you see dirt volleyball.
Oh, yeah.
But these guys are tall, they're explosive. I don't know how they don't slip. And sometimes they use like the Mikasa from like 2000.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. I want to touch that again.
Yeah.
And then people are right on the edge of the court. So there's no pursuit. You got to play the ball.
Have you been in contact with any of these people? Ever reached out to try and see, hey, is there a possibility that I can be a part of this?
That would be fun. I'm just thinking off the cuff. But if our tall system
that's what
out of ones becomes a thing, we can do a tour where we do like an invite. You bring your volleyball team, and it's just a great way to connect with volleyball players around the world. But that would be fun to play against regional teams. Yeah,
that would be insane. I think if we did that, there'd be so many like cool and people would love it. They're like, we just get thrown in these crazy situations.
Yeah.
And we just be like, what the is going on right now? And we just be playing these wild games.
Man, we can, yeah.
Think
And
about
Micah
that.
would be so in for that too.
Micah would be in for that. I mean, he's finishing his stuff with USA. Congrats to Micah on Olympics. He'll be there this summer.
Olympics.
Yeah.
That is so awesome.
So crazy, man.
Yeah.
So crazy. So he'll be there. But once he's
TJ.
done. TJ's also down. TJ's also down to do a lot of stuff. I was fortunate enough to play him this year,
Mhm.
the Falco for the people listening. And he's always open to do anything. Taylor Krabs is also down for a lot of different. And it's also like, that's what I respect about, like, I mean, obviously people have to like look out for injuries, but like a lot of the best players we know are just open to do anything. You know what I'm saying? And that's a lesson for listeners out there.
Yeah.
Be open to do anything. And I think if you want to go playing Indian dirt ball with the 2000 Mikasa, get a ticket, fly over there, go do it. You know what I'm saying? We would have done it. We have to. Now it's set in stone, I think.
Yeah.
But with that being said, what was I going to transition to? Give me a second.
Do you mind if I ask you guys a question?
Yeah, ask me a question.
So I just learned, I want to ask you guys, because you guys were in the USA pipeline for a while.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best photo covers, by the way.
Thank you.
I love it. You want to talk about where you guys are both looking?
Oh,
It's like
yeah,
that
we know
80s.
Step Brothers. Yeah.
Was that you guys' idea?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the time they say, they see a camera in front of us, they're like, okay, do something.
Yeah.
And then we just got to come up with something on the spot.
But what was your guys' journey from consciously removing yourself from the pipeline? And because I know Micah was also on the same thread too. It's like you guys are having more fun and growing a business and like really having an exciting off season instead of just going through the year-round grind. Like, what was that transition from like, okay, maybe I want to try to go national team route, and then my off year is national team versus pro season, and then out of system.
Joel, you can start with this one.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've always been really big on just everything that since we started out of system. I've really been really big on how much impact we have on the volleyball community, and also like it's completely in a way in our kind of control. In a way, guys obviously who are doing full national team stuff and they enjoy the heck out of it. It's a grind, and you talk to all of them, and they know it's like it's exhausting, and you see how tired they get at times, and they talk about it, and you're like, man, it's wear on your body. And some guys, they go through it all summer, and then they end up, disappointed because they didn't make certain rosters or they didn't, do certain things.
Yeah.
And that's stuff that's really completely out of your control. I mean, it's in your control, but it's also out of your control. Like that's, someone else making decisions on that. And so for us, we just got to a point where it's like, listen, we have so much potential with this. And there's always like back and forth with like national team, like, oh, it's potential to do this or possible to do this, and you're never sure, and you can't really plan around that. Like it's with so many of the things that are up in the air, it's really difficult to. It's like, well, this is something that we really can plan around, that we know every single summer we have complete control over this. We can plan this out. We don't have to like sit there and wait on things. She got to a point where I love it. And I love everything that we do about it. And I enjoy the heck out of playing overseas right now and continuing to become a better volleyball player. And excited for, my future in that. But everything without a system for us is just, everything's enjoyable. I mean, there's things that are a grind, but even that, like the enjoyable parts make it worth it in the end.
I know for me, it was more, I remember my brother came up to, I remember it was the first year, it was my first year overseas. And before I got to overseas, right, during college, my dad, I was lucky enough to be invited to the national team gym, but my dad was like, no, you're going to come in here and work and pack, literally the facility where we're sitting in now. So I didn't really do a lot of national team stuff at all in the summers. And then my senior year, I graduate, and then, I was free of that duty. And then, but then COVID hit, so they only took 20 guys in the gym. So they only kept their 20 main guys. And so though we were not in there, and I know Micah and Joe were like, they didn't want to be in the gym that summer. And then Joe comes up with the idea of like, hey, let's do a tour. Let's go drive around. We're like, I had a girlfriend at the time. Well, still do. Mike had a girlfriend, and it was one of those things where like, all right, let's do it. And then but at first we were like, oh crap, you kind of realize what it meant. And then you're like, all right, let's do it. And it was huge for the company. It was so big. And then the following year, you conflicted. You go into this lucky enough to, I think all three of us were lucky enough to get the VNL invite the following summer. And then we go, this is like 2021, I want to say, after Bulgaria.
I don't remember. To be honest, I don't recall a lot.
2021. And then we go, and it got to, Joe was like, there have been some stuff. I know Joe was setter. They put him at libero a lot. So he was, Joe's a setter that he is and whatnot. So he felt maybe a little slighted by that. I'm not going to put words in your mouth, though. He was like, you know what? I'd rather go do my own thing. Thank you very much so. And that left me. And I was like, no, I got to see us through. But then I kind of thought about it all. And I was like, okay, as libero, what people don't realize about national team gym, and respectfully so, I think it should be like this for sure, is you got to do your time. Right? Especially as a libero, especially if they have a world-class libero such as Eric Shoji and other great liberos in there. At this time, it was Kyle D'Agostino as well, where it was like, okay, here's my situation here. I go do national team in the summer. Guess what? Athleticism is not going to wait for me. It's going to keep going. It's going to keep building. It's going to keep growing. The tour will happen with or without me, because it's bigger. It's bigger than us. I know it's us, but it's bigger than us at this point, right? And Joe, we call him CEO Joe. He's a big businessman. He's gonna in terms of business and stuff, gonna take it to new heights and new heights and new heights. So then it got to a point of I was like, okay, what happens? Okay, Eric does this Olympics. Like does the next one. It's like 8 years in the future. I was 23, 24 at the time. So I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, yes, I can go in there. I can battle, see what happens. Chances are they're gonna go with it. Eric's phenomenal libero. Dagger's a phenomenal libero. Okay. You can battle in there and maybe you get your shot. Maybe I'm 31, 32 by the time I get my shot. Maybe go to Olympics or whatever.
Yeah.
And then what? And then after that, I'm like, okay, I'm finally enough, after scrubbing floors for X long, maybe I got my shot and maybe, I get the Olympic shot, maybe. And then what? I pull out of the Olympics. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go out of system in the summers. What's happened those 8 years?
Yeah.
While I'm going doing this, and it would kill me inside because that's our baby.
Well, and you're 33, 34.
Yeah, and I'm 33, 34. You know what I'm saying? Like yeah, you can make relevant content in the Team USA, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
The brand's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, so then you're in this predicament. And it was hard. And it was hard because I can have a big ego for sure in terms of playing too. So I don't know if it was a hard decision for you, Joe, but for me, it was more for Joe. Like I said, there were some other factors that I kind of mentioned here, but for me, I had never been slighted in my view. I was not a made man by any means in that gym, and I would have to work for a long time, but I had a good open door in terms of getting my foot in. But definitely my ego is like, okay, but then I realized I got on a good European team and playing all these high competitions, and then so my ego's filled in through that. I think
the only thing for me is like this year, like all the coaches that we were playing against or players and teammates are all like why are you like they couldn't understand why I wouldn't want to do national team because it's in other countries you don't even get a choice to say if you want to do national team or not. If the national team invites you, you have to go.
Yeah.
And it's like not even a choice for you. And so like this year, like all the coaches in the French league and stuff were like, why are you not going national team? They're kept asking. It's just like annoying to explain all the time or hard to explain because they just don't understand it. And so that was the only point where for me, I was like, I just stopped explaining. I'm like, yeah.
I think, what do we say now? Like, because people comment on it like, oh, like either they burn us like, oh, blah, this is what you do. This is why the US, or you don't get invited or this. And then I think Fana, our social media girl, is phenomenal. Swiss Army knife, just responds like the tour life calls to us. And that's how we kind of, that's kind of our answer now.
That's awesome.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it was a big decision at the time. This decision happened 3-4 years ago. And like I said, I have a big ego. So sometimes when they're like, oh, like, are you get invited one day? And I'd be like, oh, I did get invited, But it's like one of those things where, but I'm at peace now. Where I know my level. And if I was sucking overseas, probably a lot harder pill to swallow, know. But fortunately, I had a good season and whatnot. So, it's just you realize, in my energy and I don't regret a single thing, and I know Joe doesn't regret a single thing, and we're just trying to grow this thing. And we couldn't be more stoked, like you said, man. The summers are the summers, and it is a grind. It like people see the cool stuff, but I mean, you understand, Coach. Like, it's a grind at the end of the day, and but we have so much fun, and we build a crazy community, and we also stand on the backs, stand on the shoulders of giants such as yourself, and just try and take this thing to the next level and something that lasts. Because people always ask us, Joe. People don't know that Joe got offered a lot of the top assistant coaching spots in the country.
I believe
people don't know that, but he turned it down. I did not. I want to make that clear. Maybe it has to do with the content I produce. Maybe, but we're fully into this. This is it. People are like, what do you want to do? You want to coach when you're older, or when you're done? I was like, no. This is what we're doing. 100%. Yeah, it's all in. And if you don't believe in yourself, no one will. Mm-hmm. And you got to like, what's your plan B? No plan B. This is it. I will run this into the ground till I have nothing left, till the world is burned around me,
There you go.
But if you come in that mindset, I think that, like I said, man, just go for it. So if you're listening out there, just go for it. And not to say by any means we made it or making it, but the process is also a very grueling but fulfilling part of the grind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great insight. Thanks so much for sharing that.
Thank you for asking. Yeah, because at some points we're like, oh, we can address it, but we're not going to bring up ourselves or whatever. Because we got to explain again and again and again. So it's one of those things where, but then Micah, I can speak about Micah too, why he went back in that gym too. He took a break. He wanted just more free time in the summer and whatnot, and we had an amazing tour and everything, and he had an amazing time. But I think it weighed on him because he is what you call a made man in that gym.
Mm-hmm.
He knows he's a very humble guy, but he knows what he's capable of, and the opportunity that presented himself in front of him. And he went and I think what weighed on him, and I talked to him a little bit about this, and I don't think he won't mind if I air this out a little bit, but he's like, you know what, like, he's like, I have all this, and he's like, I want to reiterate, he's the most humble guy you'll ever meet in your life, the most humble guy you'll ever meet. Like I said, he knows his worth, and he just like, I just feel like I have like these gifts that. Because he is, anyone's seen him.
Oh yeah.
I'm not a religious man, but it is God-given gifts what he has.
Yeah.
That he's like, I feel like if I don't go try for the Olympics, then I just wasted this. Like 28 years down the road. So then he went for it, and look at him now. He's gonna be an Olympian. And he says, I know he's gonna keep going this route, and I think he's gonna hopefully become 2 or 3-time Olympian and eventually become the starter for US.
Yeah. He brings a different dynamic to the setting position. Like, I love his I think being multi-positioned, right, growing up, and it's just funny watching him on free balls. He's like 5 feet off the net.
Waiting, bombed.
Like stalking, but his serving, aggressive blocking, and he's just super athletic. But I wanted to comment on how the USA gave you a libero opportunity for.
You can see that because we posted about it. People are like, is that Joe in a libero jersey?
Yeah.
But I know, Joe, I don't know if you like bring this up all the time, but sorry if I bring this up and you didn't want me to bring that up.
No, I don't care. I mean, even with the youth national teams, I always put libero.
Yeah.
I don't like libero.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say that. I don't like playing libero.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I went to college. There was really only one college that would give me an opportunity to set. I know people like say that and like maybe not believe it, but there's only one, and it wasn't even the starting position. Like, they brought me in to compete to be one of the setters.
Yeah.
And I know, like, I said this all the time, like, Charlie, like, obviously he brought me in to compete, but if they played me and I didn't play well, it wouldn't have been like, he wouldn't have been like talking about me like he does talk about me now. And so, I think it's important that, I go and do something that like I really enjoy and I'm happy about doing. And I am. And I'm also finishing up my master's right now. That's another thing I do. So I'm almost done with my master's degree.
Nice.
So I have that. But yeah, I enjoy coaching and everything. We'll see where life takes. You know? I do have one question. I don't know. Is there anything else about that you had?
I just wanted to add one thing about, like, I appreciate that you took control of your volleyball experience, because, some people can say, I mean, they obviously believe in your ability as libero at that level. Let's say, well, you could have made it to the national team or be in the pipeline for there. But for you find your most joy as a setter, regardless of whatever perceived limitations people have on you. I mean, you've done so well. You made it to NCAA finals. You've won awards overseas in a fantastic league. So you can obviously do as a setter. And that's something I always try to encourage the athletes that I coach. Like, yes, you want to play position to get playing time, and if the coach wants you, but at the end of the day, take control of your volleyball journey. And like, what brings you joy is going to sustain your work ethic for a longer period of time. Because if you're going to grind doing something that you really enjoy doing, because you're not going to want to grind on something you're not going to enjoy. So it takes a lot of courage to turn that down to want to and still be a setter. So I admire that.
No, I appreciate that. It is another element too for me. Like, like you said, I'm in the French league. Our team the entire season was the best team in the league until the semifinals. But we're like, you'll see everyone's gonna be watching VNL. You'll see like the entire French league is all going to be playing VNLs the entire time. Like, all these guys are guys I play against every single week. And so it's like, I play against these guys all year round, and I know what level I can play at and all this. And so for me, there's no question in my mind, like, what that what I'm doing is productive, and I'm playing it, and I'm still like able to play at that level. But it's just like there's other things to it that come into play, and
I'm on the same grain where I know if I play the barrel, I could probably compete at a higher level or with better teams. But just hitting and just screaming afterward, it just feels so good.
Nothing beats it, man. Nothing. Come on, Libero. Nothing beats that, bro.
And then just knowing that I'm always going to hit against a bigger block, to me, I just feel like I get to have a David and Goliath victory every time I'm on the court. And the joy and the tough part about this, though, like the reason why I even call our team the tall ones is because when I first started playing, people would only ask me to play for them as a libero because I'm not tall enough. And I get it. I don't hold it against teams because I am physically limited, and I understand why people would want to do that. But when I was like, well, if I want to be a hitter, I have to make my own team, and I have to find a setter who's actually going to set me. Because when I would hit, they started a semi-pro team here called NorCal Premier. I was like 5th outside hitter, 2nd libero. And when I would play, I just want to get set, which I don't blame them. Set 6'5", Pepperdine guy, more majority of the time, right? I don't blame them, but it's like, I should find someone that can actually set me, who actually would want to set me. And it's usually some other setter that has a chip on their shoulder say, I want to play on a team where I get to be in control. I want to play the barrel. And that's what we call the tall ones, because it was just more of it just ended up recruiting a bunch of people that ended up playing the barrel. But no, I want to hit. I want to play middle. I want to play this. So it just ended up becoming an ironic name because we're the shortest team, because we're a bunch of players that people put us in positions that we didn't want to play.
100%. And I want to talk about as the actual libero that put myself in this position versus the two people that were forced in the position. You gotta love it. If you don't love it, and I love playing libero, but there are some times where it just angers me so much because of the impact of the game, and you get frustrated with hitters and whatnot, and even then I get annoyed. But if you don't love it, man, it's a tough position to play because you feel like you can't do anything really. Yeah, and to a certain extent, you really can't. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah. So what question you had?
I have one question. I know we're getting close on time here, Coach Donny, but you told us you're very honest, man. You want to be that way for your community and everything. And so I'm going to ask you to be very honest here.
Sure.
Okay. Regardless of who's in the room right now, I want your Mount Rushmore of volleyball creators in the world right now.
Ooh. I'm the first to admit I'm so bad at keeping up with social media. I do it purely for business. So if I don't have you and you're probably well known, apologize ahead of time. Social media. So this is like the non-organizations, like volleyball
correct.
World.
Yeah, yeah. I want like
CV.
Yes, exactly.
Out of system for sure would be one of the top. I think you guys are innovative. I think you guys have a good trifecta. You have business mindset, you're great players, and you're good people. It's very hard to find those three qualities. So I would say one person that keeps popping up in my feed is PME Volleyball. He's killing it.
Yeah, he is. And he's in Brazil with the national team right now, with the girls' national team. Well, when this comes out, yeah. So I saw someone's story. I think it was Zoe Fleck's story. And he was just kind of in the corner. I was like, with a bunch of the girls doing picture day, which I'm like, dude, if you're like a 19, 20-year-old guy and you're just with all these like adult women, it is kind of awkward. So I don't blame the guy, It's a little, you're just like, you know what I'm saying? But I'm sure he's getting close over the trip and getting more comfortable. Because it's also that's a very gnarly situation to handle. You're playing the East Coast and whatnot. You're getting shipped all the way to Brazil with the national team. And I'm sure they thought about stuff to film and stuff. But
I wonder if it was VNL who brought it.
Maybe VNL. But it's not an easy situation because you got to be comfortable. They got to be comfortable with with collabs and stuff. And if they're not used to it, it's like it can be a little hard. But so he got shipped over there, and I saw one of his TikToks. And this will be, maybe he released a couple of videos by the time this will come out in like 2 weeks. So then, so he's out there, but then he is killing it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think he does a good job of keeping people along his journey as being a collegiate player, content creator. So great person to have. I think he sets a good example. I don't even know about other ones.
There's two heads only.
Well, he's put himself on there.
Oh yeah, but put yourself. But usually people don't put yourself though. Not in a non-cocky way, but because they like to charge up.
There's one, but this is not. I'm gonna leave it for Coach Donny. I have one in mind that I would throw in there.
What I have one in mind too. He plays volleyball.
Dustin won. No easy. Okay, yeah. Sorry, Dustin. No easy buckets. Absolutely. Gosh,
he hit 1 million on TikTok this year.
Oh shoot.
He's like,
it's so blatantly obvious that you're probably not thinking of it.
Eric showed you. Oh, man. Sorry, Eric.
Eric. No hate.
You are. I think of you as like a libero first because you're just so amazing at that. But you know the funny thing is, I think I'm, and maybe this is a credit to his style of content creation. I just feel like I don't see him as a content creator, even though he's very good at that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm so in tune with this process because the stuff he posts is so very introspective.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just feel like I'm just joining him for the ride versus him being somewhere up here and I'm looking up to him. So, okay. So I actually do follow a lot more than I thought.
But you follow the main ones, and there's a bunch of other people that are starting, which is sick. And like, I know this is the last thing I'm going to say before we let you go here, Coach. But it's also cool because I want to give like the volleyball media and collegiate media and men's volleyball. Thanks people like Holly. Thanks people like Nakoba, Visuals, and many, many more. And college are starting to take seriously. Really great.
Yeah.
Really, really great. Such high quality, such sick videos.
Yeah.
At UH too, they're starting to bring
At UH as well too. These people are absolutely killing it. They revolutionized the game. And they're setting the standard.
And AVB, is that?
AVB as well, yeah. AVB
Yeah.
is also getting into more match play and just posting courtside match play. And Moo Cow Johnny, of course.
Oh yeah,
can't forget Moo Cow Johnny. But the list goes on and on. It's funny just to say out loud. Moo Cow is a legend amongst, and he has no profile pic, which makes it amazing. So who is Moo Cow Johnny?
We met him.
We met him.
We met him at 6 Man. He came up to us. Yeah.
Oh, well. We met Moo Cow Johnny, but he's a mystery to many of his followers. But anything, we usually give this time, anything you want to promote, anything you want to talk about, talk to this lovely camera right here. Yes. We'll wrap it up.
Oh, well, thinking of promotions, we have our summer volleyball camps coming up in July. So we got middle school, co-ed, boys and girls high school, boys high school. And we're trying to experiment with the women's college. I work with individual collegiate players coming back, but I feel like for the players that come back that want some training, there's not a lot for them. So this year, trying out the women's college. So we'll be in Hayward at House of Hustle facility. All stuff is on my website, elevateyourself.org, if you want to join any of those camps. We very proud to say we have a 7-to-1 coach to player ratio. We try to get 1 repetition every 3 seconds. That's kind of the general goal of our coaching staff. And we have position breakouts, so we really try to break things down for people. And we'll break it up into skill levels, so you try to complete closer to your skill level. But that's probably the only thing that I want to promote. I want to thank you guys too. I think,
of course, Coach.
Your tour, is it just me or is your tour growing, like the number of stops?
It's this is the big kahuna this year. This is our biggest one. How many stops, Joe? Officially, how many stops?
How many stops? Fate?
Gotta be around 20 something.
Yeah.
And that's officially.
Awesome.
So there's obviously a few days maybe in between here where, we're hitting up other places. So officially in terms of that 20 plus stops. We're trying to make it grow, man. I mean, we got to fit it all in. We got 3 months until we're back over there. So, do it while you can. But everything you talked about, we'll make sure to put the link in the bio, guys.
Thanks.
I'll talk to this camera here. Like I said, anything that Coach Donny has going on, camps, clinics, make sure you sign up for them. The link will be in the bio. Easily to sign up for. And just remember, guys, if you can't handle the heat, goddamn kitchen. This has been another episode presented by Out of System.